Hey, just a heads up that the following content may be disturbing or triggering for some listeners and is not appropriate for children. Please take care of yourself and others who may be listening with you. Welcome to the Bonus Babies podcast, a show that has no easy answers, only hard questions.
I always thought, I've always heard my foster family say that family is so important, but the people that hurt me the most was my own family. So if that's family, I'm good. I don't want it.
Can you tell me what you call the kids who you've cared for over the years?
We feel that the children that we receive coming into our home are bonuses. So we call them bonus babies.
I love that. This is your host, Jayne Amelia Larson, and I'm a CASA volunteer, a court-appointed special advocate for youth in foster care. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. In the same way a CASA works, I explore all things in the foster care maze by talking to kids, parents, caregivers, attorneys, social workers, therapists, anybody and everybody who will speak to me to keep the conversation open and the information flowing about all things CASA. I'm talking to Jaci Cortez, and thank you so much for being on the podcast. It really means a lot to me that you agreed to do this. I think you have a really compelling story, and I want other people to know about it. So can you tell me, Jaci, where are you from? What are you about? What's happening?
Yeah, of course. So I was born in Los Angeles, California, and I currently still reside there. And yeah, I'm all about helping and just trying to either improve or change, foster care systems for the next generations. Since when I was in it, it wasn't really the best, but I understand that it was something, so I believe that something's better than nothing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I know that for you, that comes from a result of personal experience. You were raised in the foster care system, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And can you tell me about how old were you when you first went into care?
I was 4 years old.
Wow, 4 years old. So what are your first memories of foster care?
Honestly, I would have to say that the first memory was being lost and confused in this giant courtroom. Everyone's talking about you and you're just sitting there next to a lawyer, like trying to figure out what's happening. But yeah, it's definitely a memory that I don't think ever is going to go away, but that's my first recollection of foster care because before that, I didn't have to go to court, so.
Of course not. And I know that when actually part of the CASA training was you get to kind of experience what court is like for the kids. I mean, obviously not because you're not a kid when you're doing it. But I suddenly realized as I was there for the first time in children's court that for a little kid, especially 4-year-old, they're there in court. Did you think you had done something wrong? Because many kids do. They don't know why they're in court. And there's all these people talking about them, and there's lawyers and a judge. And even if they don't know exactly what that is, they know that something's going on, right? Is that what happened to you?
Well, definitely not just the first time when I was in court, but several times when I was in court, I definitely felt like I had did something wrong. And it was just, I guess, a different experience because it wasn't until I was like a teenager where I really understood that those court hearings were to make sure that, I was okay in getting the services and resources needed. But again, even though as a kid, people explained it didn't really process correctly because you're scared. You have a lot of strangers and they all know like your background and your name and they're deciding everything for you. So definitely it was scary as a kid.
Yeah, and you didn't know any of them, right? Or if you knew them just because you met them once or twice, but kids don't remember that stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So did you know your parents and your bio family? Do you have memories of that of them, or are they out of the picture completely?
So I've never met my bio father, but I was raised by my maternal grandma and biological mother before I entered foster care. I don't really have memories with them, but they were out of the picture for my whole time in foster care. But then after foster care, they were able to come back into the picture, and they still are. So,
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a bit. So, but do you know why you were removed from your bio home?
yeah, I was removed because my mother was deported back to Guatemala.
Wow.
And since I was born here, they put me in care.
Wow, and they didn't let your grandmother continue to take care of you?
No, unfortunately, at the time, my grandma didn't have the, I guess, finance and support to do it. So yeah.
So, can you tell me about your early life? How did that work? And do you have any siblings? I think you said you have a little sister, right?
Yeah, I have a little sister and a younger brother.
And did they both go into care at the same time as you?
No, we have couple years differences. My younger brother, he's 19, I believe. He is gratefully he was not put in care. He was raised by my mother and grandma, and he turned out great. My little sister was put in care um, when she was a baby, but she was adopted a couple months old, and she's still with them. So that's great that I guess forever home worked out for her. So she's doing good as well.
And how about you? So, what happened to you when you went into care? Who was your first family, or how did that work?
So I first went into what they call kinship with a uncle. That didn't work out. I was a burden to them since they had 3 to 4 kids already. So they gave me to my aunt. At the time, I didn't know she was my aunt. But so this woman decided to adopt me at the age of 5. And that was really like my second placement, but like the first, AKA what they say home, right? I was there for a couple years, but it was very abusive environment. And I was put back into foster care um, when I was 13 and a half. And then from there, I just stayed in foster care till I was 21.
Wow. So, your aunt, she never told you that she was your aunt?
No, I would bring up all the time, like, hey, how come I look like you? You have curls like me, right? And she'll always say, oh, that's just coincidence, but we're not related. You should be grateful that I took you in. And, as a kid, you just learn your place. You learn that you should be grateful for things, even though they're not the best. Or at least they made it seem like that, right? That you could have been worse off. But yeah, no, she denied that we were related. It wasn't until years later that I was able to have proof that we were.
So, why were you removed from the home? You said it because it was abusive. Do you mind going into a little bit more detail about that? I'm sure it's difficult, but I think it's important for people to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So for years, from like day one, I was kind of like their slave. I did chores, I cooked, I cleaned up after the dog. When they had their newborn, I took care of him. And I was 5, so I grew up really fast, but I think as an adult, those skills definitely came in handy, so I didn't have a childhood, but yeah, it was, the beginning was just that, yes, I guess labor, abuse. But then once I hit 10, he, so they put in charge her older son, who happened to be like my cousin or something, um, to discipline me. So I was getting beat for pretty much everything. If they had a bad day at work, if I missed a question in my homework. So yeah, it was very abusive in that way. And then once I turned like a little bit before 11, he started sexually abusing me when we were alone, and I didn't really reflect, at that age that that was a normal. Since before I entered foster care, I was molested as a child. So to me, it was like normal, unfortunately. Um, but, at some point, I think that I realized it was wrong because I tried to fight back. And yeah, that went bad. I got knocked out and I still, woke up nude and him on top. So I think that's what really made me realize, hey, you have to get stronger. And I continued for years, but little by little, I started taking care of myself in the ways I could, right? Like finding a space in my mind where I was safe and could escape, trying to not be home as much. But yeah, it was very bad for me in that home. But then when I thought it couldn't get any worse, right? She decided to marry a person from the church who touched me twice. And on the third time when he tried, I pulled out a pocket knife and I held his private part. And I told him, if you ever touch me again, I'm going to chop it off because I was just so frustrated. He never touched me again. But that's when I realized that I deserved better and that I was strong enough. But it took a couple of times to really be able to defend myself. But yeah, that was my life there. I was whatever they wanted me to be. I wasn't really a daughter for them.
So how did you get removed? Like, did you reach out to anybody? Did you try to tell somebody? Did somebody figure out how did you get out of that house?
So I ran away 3 times. The first time I tried to run away from her work because there was a period where they homeschooled me because I couldn't go to school. Because if they saw bruises, they would ask questions. And at her work, she was the manager, so no one asked questions. So I tried to run away. I went to the church and I told the pastor and the pastor's wife because they're religious, and they sent me back. So I got a whipping, and then I was able to go back to school, and I tried to tell counselor, but the counselor told them, and I don't know what happened, but I got sent back. Nothing happened. And after that, I didn't really trust school or people. So I got a whipping again. And then the third time, I was successfully able to run away because I was homeschooled again at her work. And I didn't go to anyone. I just ran straight to the cops. I went to the nearest police station, and there was a cop who spoke to me, and he told me, like, I don't care if you have to sleep on my couch. I'm not letting you go back. But they did have to send me back, but they didn't let me stay. They told them that there was a fight at my old school that I was in and that I was a witness, and they wanted to talk to me. And that's how they were able to safely remove me from that house without them being suspicious.
Wow, JC. So how did you know at that age, even just to go to a cop station? I mean, how did you figure that out?
I used to have a best friend when I was that age that her father was a cop, and I saw like that he really did help people, and she was like my only friend. She really helped me when no one was there. She would help me do my chores so I wouldn't get in trouble. And I didn't open up to her about what was happening, but I think she kind of knew some parts because she would, help me do my chores and help me study for school. And I think seeing her dad be a good officer made me realize, hey, maybe they can help me, since the other adults weren't able to.
This is really important for people to hear that you had reached out repeatedly to adults in your life, to a pastor, to counselor, and you were returned repeatedly to an abusive home. And it wasn't until finally you reached out to a cop, went to the police station on your own, that you got help.
Yeah.
And then what happened then? You went into the foster care system, and then you went from home to home to home?
Yeah, so the first night there was no homes available, so I had to sleep in the DCFS downtown LA office. They had like a little room with a couch and TV. So I had to sleep there until they were able to find me a home. And then from there, the social workers were great. they tried to make it homey, hey, do you want snacks? Do you want dinner? Do you want water? Checking up on you, making sure you were not cold or hot. But it was definitely weird, going from maybe not a safe place to call home, right? And now you're safe, but definitely it was different, sleeping on a couch than like on the bed that you've slept on for years, right? But
Right.
yeah, that's how my journey with DCFS started. I realized that it was going to be a different life, but even though it was, still like confusing for me, I knew hopefully that this would be a better thing for me. But yeah, I went to different foster homes. They were mostly all Hispanic homes because I am mixed ethnicity. So they do try their best, right, to match you. But, lack of homes. So, but yeah, it wasn't the, I think the best foster home I had was my last one. But yeah, it is what it is.
All right. So what happened then? You're going from foster home to foster home, but then you found a family that wanted to adopt you, right?
Oh yeah.
And you were like 15?
Yep.
What happened?
Yeah, so that was my second to last foster home. So yeah, they were like, we're your forever family. We're gonna buy you a car when you're 16, because that's when you can drive. When you go to college, we're gonna help you finish your education. Your family, we're gonna give you your last name, and it. I really thought that, yeah, I've been there a couple years and it's gonna be great. But one day I get outed by their older son, and after a while, I think you know who you are, right? You kind of realize you're different. And if you're being told for years that, being different is wrong, and you're probably different because of the abuse you went through, then you start to question it, right? So, but yeah, I had been experimenting backwards. Now people think, oh, I'm gay, and they experiment. No, I experimented to see if I could be straight, and nothing. I didn't feel butterflies. So I was just tired of hiding. And it was just like, what do I do? Do I deny myself one more time? Or do I finally tell them, yeah, it's true. And if they're my forever family, they're going to love me for who I am, right? Because they would say, oh, you're the perfect foster kid. You're our daughter. So yeah, when he outed me, I told him, yeah, I am. I like females. I like women. I'm attracted to the same sex. So I might be a lesbian. I'm not really sure because I don't know labels, but that's what he's calling me. And I Googled it, and yeah, that's what I seem to identify as. And yeah, I don't like men. I don't like boys. I've tried, and that's when it all kind of went downhill. They started yelling at me, how can I do this? If I loved them, I would change. And I just, listened and I understood, but it did hurt me. And I told him, look, I don't know what to tell you. Like, every day you guys ask me, oh, you're so pretty, why don't you have a boyfriend? And I'll tell them, you guys didn't get suspicious that my answer was always the same. I'm waiting for the right one. Like, that was always my answer. And yeah, like I was just tired, and it heated up. They were upset. They threw the Bible at me. And I decided to call my social worker and tell them, hey, I told my social worker I can't be here no more. They don't accept me for who I am. And I don't even know who that is, but I know in this space, I can't even explore that. So yeah, my social worker came that same day later on, and I got my stuff, and I was placed there with my sister, and I wasn't able to say goodbye to my little sister. They said that if I truly loved her, I wouldn't do this to her, because being different was being a bad influence to her, putting her in harm. And I told them, first of all, I would never hurt anyone. But if you think as her parents that that's the best decision, then I'm fine with it. But yeah, I wasn't able to say goodbye to my little sister. And it did hurt, when I was trying to figure out who I was and who I liked. I felt bad. I felt guilty because I felt that choosing myself made me selfish because I wasn't there for my little sister. Even though, again, they were ideal parents for my little sister, they weren't supportive of me. I had to find that balance of, not hating them because they gave my sister the best life ever. But I realized that at some point I was gonna come out, so um, he beat me to it. So yeah, I don't know. I've always been a hippie in that sense of trying to forgive people when they do me wrong.
Yeah, but you must have been heartbroken, right? Because they told you they loved you and you loved them, right? You thought that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, my heart was broken for a couple years, but I was able to recover and realize that they didn't know better. And life is a funny circle. So I was able to bump into them later on in the future, and now I help them out, and yeah, now they in a sense are trying to accept me for who I am, but I don't really care if they do or not. I'm just there to help, and I learned through that experience when I was younger with them that you can love someone with boundaries.
Hmm. So, how do you feel about the family who adopted you, that your aunt who so badly mistreated you? Where are you with all that right now? I remember you said that you hired a private investigator, and that's how you found out that she was your aunt?
Yeah, before I hit 18, I forgot who told me, but they told me, hey, through foster care, one of the perks is hiring a private investigator. I was like, oh, really? That's cool. So I was able to hire a private investigator. I wanted to ideally find my father, but there was no luck there. So they were able to find additional family, right? So they told me, oh, your mom's in Guatemala. She's in this town, this city, right? And they're like, your grandma's actually here and in LA. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I'm sure she has her reasons, and only time will tell with that one, right? Because, um, to me, it was just a stranger on a paper.
Hmm.
But then when it came to my aunts, I was like, I knew we were related. It turned out to be my adopted mom, and I was so mad because like she just denied and denied and denied. And I was like, we look so similar, except that I was dark skinned. But besides that, we had the same curls and like the same eye shape. So, it took me, I had like a couple months with that information. And I just realized, you know what, I'm angry, right? So initially I was really angry. So I found her and I went to where she worked. She was still there. And I sat down and she saw me. She went to her office and she didn't come out for like an hour or two. When she came out, she was with her eyes bawling like if she was crying. And she sat down. She's like, what are you doing here? And I told her, hey, I'm just here to talk to you. While I was waiting, everyone was talking to me. They were like, hey, where you been? We missed you. We haven't seen you for years. So it was,
Oh, so they all recognized you. So this was the same place of work. Uh-huh.
yeah. Yeah, she was at the same spot at work. But yeah, they all talked to me like if nothing happened. And apparently she told them that she had sent me to like private school. So, where you live or something. So that's why they hadn't seen me. And I didn't tell them nothing. I told them, oh yeah, I've been good. School's good. I'm continuing school. But yeah, I didn't tell them anything, because I didn't want to talk to them. To me, there were just people that didn't really do much when they saw the signs. And I get it, they were scared of her. But I'm the type of person that if you see something, you should say something. So I didn't really want to talk to him because I wanted all my energy for her. So when she sat down and she told me, what are you doing here? I just told her, like, I'm here to talk to you. Don't worry. I didn't tell no one what you did. And she started crying. She's like, please. I was like, look, if I wanted to tell people the monster you were, I would have told them a long time ago. But I'm not here for that. So I showed her the file and I told her, hey, it turns out you're my aunt. So I wondered um, why you always told me we weren't related. And she told me, yeah, I'm your aunt, but I didn't want to tell you because, and I was like, we look alike. Like, you knew it was just a matter of time. She's like, yeah, it's just because I just didn't want you to find out we were related. And I was like, so it got me a little pissed off, but I realized, that's not what I'm here for. And I just want to know why you hurt me so bad. Like, I never did anything to you. I listened to you guys, even though your rules made no sense. You guys put me through hell. So I don't understand how your God can forgive you. Like, I'm going to forgive you. I'm here to forgive you. But I just wanted my answer, like, why? And she started crying. She's like, I'm sorry I didn't protect you. And I told her, look, I didn't believe your crocodile tears in the court, and I don't believe them now. I just want to know why you hurt me. So she started crying, and she told me she wanted to get revenge on my mother because they fell in love with the same woman, and the woman chose my mom. And I like, first, I was still discovering who I was and accepting myself. So that really was like, yeah, that pissed me off. Like, I really wanted to curse at her and like, but I wasn't that type of person. So I told her, look, I'm going to respect you even though you don't deserve respect. I was taught to be respectful, so that's what I'm going to do. But what you did is not right, and that's not an excuse. I was like, just because you can't be with the person you want to be doesn't mean you can hurt someone. And I told her, like, I am not my mother. I am not that woman. I have, like, I told her that's not right. And I told her, look, I hope that your God can forgive you. I forgive you not because you deserve it, but because I need to move on. So she started crying, and she was like, oh, do you want something to eat? And I told her, nah, I don't want nothing from you. Leave me alone. Don't hit me up. Don't look for me. Like, I just wanted to let you know that I forgive you, but I hope that you do better. And I got my stuff. And right before I left, like, I told her, like, with a heavy heart, and I almost cried, but I didn't. And I told her, I can't believe I'm related to you. I always thought, I've always heard my foster family say that family is so important, but the people that hurt me the most was my own family. So if that's family, I'm good. I don't want it. And I walked away, and I never spoke or saw her again. But I think that was the day I was really able to heal, because I realized, sometimes you don't want to know the answers to stuff. But I think that was really not the answer I wanted to hear, but it was something that I needed to hear, to realize that even though my family was dysfunctional and my past was not ideal, that I'm able to help others through healing and the pain I had to go through.
Yeah, you're really an inspiration, JC. Just hearing you talk, I'm just amazed by the gracious generosity that you have, the ability to forgive. It's just enormous. It's admirable. And I'm wondering, where do you think that's coming from? How are you doing that?
I don't know. When I was younger, I guess I was a very upset, angry individual, teenager. But then I think through reading and the interactions I had were with positive people, people that didn't want to hurt me or want anything from me, they really helped me become a positive individual as well. So I think I just kind of learned from them, and being able to realize that being angry and sad or upset was just negative energy that we can't get back, right? And even positive energy we can't get back, but they really helped me realize that what we put out there is what we get. So I wanted good things for myself because I realized I already been through hell and I want something better for my life. So I think that's what really helped me be forgiving towards those who maybe didn't deserve it. But I really had to reflect and see that we're all going through something, and maybe someone hurt them, right? And hurt people, but I didn't want to continue that bad cycle. So I had to forgive them to be able to heal myself and kind of see the signs, right? To not be like them, because that kind of became my goal, right? To never be like them. But then once I got over that hill, I was able to find who I was and just grow and be a better version of me every day, right? So that's my life purpose, to help others. So I think, yeah, just interacting with amazing people helped me change my mindset that I used to have.
Yeah, and how about your last foster family? What was that situation? Because that was finally a good one, right?
Yeah, they're amazing. They treated you like you were family. They didn't lie to you. She was simple, She was stern but loving. We all ate dinner and lunch at the same time together. She made holidays fun. She included everyone.
Yeah. So were there other foster kids and bio kids? But like, what was the environment like?
Homie. Yeah, we had, so in total, even with me, there were 6 foster girls, and she had her her I guess birth kids, but they were older, but they would come around a lot, but they embraced us. They didn't make us feel different. Again, she was just very motheringly but tough, because life has rules and consequences. So there was rules, like you had to do chores, and she only had one rule when it came to her, right? And it said not to lie to her. So we were able to, I guess, live a normal life in that house, because no one's perfect. But yeah, she made us realize that, yeah, we're young and we can make mistakes, but if we're willing to change, we're able to grow, right? So yeah, I don't know. That environment was really good. We were able to grow and learn and just feel loved. But yeah, she was a tough woman, and she still is. But I think that's what I needed. I needed that tough love.
Hmm.
I needed that reminder that people care, but it's not always about the I love yous and the spoiling, right? It was more of, hey, you're hungry, I got you. How was work? Give you a ride when you missed your last bus. It was the actions that really made me feel, wow, this is it. So yeah, that's the woman I call my mom. Even with my birth mom in the picture, to me, that woman's always gonna be my mom, because she went above and beyond everyone.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know, I don't know, she loved me for who I was. And if anyone tried to bully me, she shut it down. So it was nice. I don't know.
Right. And you have her name? You took her name?
Yeah, her last name's Cortez. So before exiting foster care, I changed it to them. And I asked the whole family, hey, I want to take your last. And they're like, girl, you already family. You already are one of us. So it was a very great moment for me to realize that even before I realized I was fam, they already knew I was. So it was nice.
Wow. And so how about your sexual identity now? How has it evolved? How are you with being who you are? Or well, you identify as gay, right?
Lesbian, yeah. It's, I guess, the same thing. Yeah. No, it took a couple years, but I love who I am. I have a great partner who, with all my flaws and all, we're able to learn.
Oh, you have a partner now.
Yeah. We've been together for 5 years.
Cool. So you're in love.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is long term. You got the real deal.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, no, she knows my background, and she never judged me or held it against me. She's always helped me, do better. And even, when my goals are like crazy, like away from hers, she still supports it. So, but yeah, no, I love who I am. I try to make sure that I be the best partner I can. And yeah, I'm very blessed to be able to be comfortable in my skin finally and have an amazing partner, because some people never find that, that peace within themselves.
I'm so happy for you to have such love in your life, especially for how hard your early life was. So I want to talk to you about your outreach, because the way that I met you was through the Los Angeles Reproductive Health Equity Project, right? That works with youth in foster care and helping them to understand their reproductive rights and to understand sexual health and to help them identify who they are, right?
Yes.
How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, I was in the Children's Law Center in LA, doing a sex education course they had. So it was like a whole week where they showed you how to use condoms and all that good stuff, right? And then I guess someone who was doing that, I guess helping with that program, came in and did a presentation about it. And I was like, hey, that sounds really cool. I'm all about advocacy and trying to make the system better. So I applied and I was able to get in. And so, yeah, that's how I heard about it, through it was an amazing workshops that they had, was inclusive, which was the first that I've ever saw that was inclusive of just not like heteronormative, sex safe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I heard about LA Rep and got involved.
Right, and you do other advocacy as well, right? And other reach out. Can you? And I think you're trying to launch your own, or you are going to launch your own nonprofit organization. Can you talk to me about any of that, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So since my background has been very diverse, right, when it came to experiences, I realized I was able to help advocate for others. I have partnered with different organizations to advocate for different stuff, not just foster care, right? I've advocated with the homeless count, with Homeless Inc., when they wanted frontline stories of homeless people, I've done different foster care advocacy stuff, not just with LA Rep, but even with the school board, right? When it comes to foster care, there's a lot of inconsistencies and issues there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I try to advocate as much as I can, and I've been very pleased and blessed, right, to be able to have been advocating since I was 16 years old. And I have seen some growth and change, and not just the system, but just here in LA County with our DCFS, right? So it's nice to see that we are not just, I don't know, just being seen and heard, but they're actually listening, and doing something for the next generation. Because unfortunately, I don't think foster care is going to get any smaller.
No, you're probably right. Yeah. Have you thought about being a CASA?
I tried to apply to be a CASA, but they said I was too young and to finish school, and then maybe. So yeah, I will in the future.
I cut you off about talking about this Sunflower Foster Youth. Tell me about that.
So yeah, I'm starting my own nonprofit organization. It's called Sunflower Foster Youth Investment. And I'm almost done. I'm just missing like 2 more documents, and then I'll be able to open it, to the people live, right, as they say. But yeah, it's really going to be to enhance, them having stability and focusing on their goals, not just short term, but long term. What I realized was, throughout working different jobs and advocacy, is that there is a huge lack of communications within organizations to each other. It's like they're all like them against everyone else, right? So I wanted to help bridge that gap and connect all the resources together. So that's what we'll be doing. But I also realized that, and people don't invest in a city if they don't think the people are worth it, So I realized, hey, in order to invest in foster care, we have to invest in the individuals that are in foster care. And then once we invest in them, we're not just investing in that individual in foster care. We're investing in the communities that touch their lives. And I realized that I was able to, do well in life because I had people invest in me, and I returned that by investing in others, right? So it's just a chain of positive stuff. So that's why I want to do it, because I realized that that's the only way we can better not only foster care, but our society, since we became like so selfish at some time, right? And I just realized that we're on this together, even though our family background is different, our ethnicity is different, and our situations are different. But at the end of the day, we're all human. And, it's not going to get better if we keep thinking that we're not together in this world, right? So, yeah. So,
your mom is back in your life, your bio mom. I know you have your real mom, but you have your bio mom who's, how did that come about?
Yeah. That was interesting. They found me through Facebook, ironically. So my mom's partner had sent me a friend request, and I was what, like 21, almost 22. And I was like, hey, this older lesbian needs a friend. All right, I'm in. And I accepted I accepted the friend request. And then she like right away sends me a text through I guess the Facebook Messenger thing. And she was like, text me. I was like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
And then she's like, call me. I was like, I'm not calling, right? So I was like, look, lady, I don't know you. And she's like, I know your mom. And then she sent me like this blurry picture of someone. And I was like, oh, and I got so mad, right? So I called the lady and I was like, first of all, I don't even know my mom. So who the hell are you? So I cursed a little bit, right? And then she's like, explain who she was. She's like, I'm your mom's life partner. I've known her since before you were born. And we've been together. And, she told me like, I've helped support her, your grandma, your brother. And I was like, oh, I have a brother. And she's like, yeah, your mom's really missed you.
Oh, so that's when you first learned you had a brother.
Yeah. And then she told me like, yeah, your mom's, we've looked. So that's how I found out I guess my family never stopped looking for me. Cause she would tell me like, oh yeah, we would hide in my car and we would try to see you in your aunt's house. And I even went to try to talk to her and see where, get some info for your mom and nothing. Like she would threaten us to call the cops. So they really did put the 110% to find me. So I was like, all right, so then we did that, like where you could see their face. And yeah, I saw my mom for the first time, but it didn't really click. I saw a lady, I looked like crying and she's like, oh, I missed you. I loved you. And blah, 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 right? All these beautiful words. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, this is weird. It was really uncomfortable for sure. But, I'm a nice person. So I was like, hey, what about we meet at a restaurant and we get to talk in person, right? Because I really wanted to make sure I wasn't like being scammed, because I have trust issues. So we met at a restaurant that was really close to my mom's house. And it was like less than 2 blocks. So I walked there, right? And I would go there like every day to this bakery restaurant. So I was really close to the staff and I told them what was happening. We came up with like a code, like if I was in danger, right? So they were going to like help me get out of there. And some were really excited. They're like, oh, we're so happy for you. You're going to meet your mom. And I was like, yeah, I don't really know about that. I don't need a mom, right? But yeah, sounds good, right? But yeah, I had talked to my mom and she told me like, look at this as an opportunity that not most kids in foster care get. Don't let them use you. But, you never know. You might get answers that you never knew you could get. And I was like, all right. So I met with them and I had told them that it took me like 2.5 hours to get there when it was like less than 5 minutes. So yeah, Diana walks up. So that's my mom's life partner. Diana walks in and I recognized her from the Facebook and she comes in for a hug. So I hug her, whatever. I didn't really feel much, but I did tell her like, thank you, for taking care of my family. I appreciate it. But there's a part of me that really wanted to be like, because of you, I went through hell. But, again, it's not her fault, that my aunt, went berserks, right? So, I just kept it nice and peaceful. And then my mom walks in and she's already crying and I hug her and I didn't really feel much, but I could tell I'm her daughter, right? 'Cause I have her face, it's a little darker. And this older lady walks up and they didn't even have to tell me she was my grandma. Something has told me she was my grandma. Like, so I go up to I hug her and she's crying and I cleared her tears and I told her, queens don't cry. And she's like, she's mostly speaking Spanish. She's a Spanish speaker. So I start speaking Spanish to her and I tell her like, don't worry about it. 'Cause she's apologizing of her not being able to take me and, all that other stuff. And I told her, don't worry about it. It is what it is. We're here together now. So then my brother comes in and wow, like my heart is dropped. Like I was like, I have a brother. Like, wow, I've always wanted a brother. He's taller than me. So I was a little mad, because I'm short. And I was like, wow, like he got the good genes. It's all good. It's all good. But no, it was a great, it was a great experience. Realizing I had a brother for me because I always wanted a brother and I hug him and I tell him, hey, I'm sorry. I wasn't there to see you grow up. And I told him, look, I might not be the sister that you have in your mind, but know that I'll try my best because I don't know how to be a sister to a boy, you know. I grew up with foster sisters. So, and he hugged me. He's like, I'm sorry I wasn't there to protect you. And I told him like, wow, like him telling me like I wasn't there to protect you just broke my heart. And I hugged him harder and I told him, I love you. Like, don't worry, we got this, you know? And we sit down, we start talking, they start showing me pictures. And I was like, I never seen baby pictures before. So I was super excited. I was like, oh, it was cute. She shows me all the documentation and I was like, all right, this is my mother. But yeah, I was like, I told him like, how did you guys find me? I looked different. You know, I had chopped off my hair. I had changed my name legally. And I was like, how? Like in my mind was like, how did they find me, you know? And she's like, a mother just knows her child. And I was like, huh. So yeah, they continue telling me the stories, right, of how they searched and searched for me and they didn't give up. And it just broke my heart, you know. So I was born on Latin American Mother's Day. So it broke my heart when my brother told me like, oh yeah, we can't celebrate Mother's Day until we found you. So, and I was like, my brother was not able to tell my mom or grandma Happy Mother's Day because that caused them pain. And it just broke my heart like that. Like to me, without knowing, I felt selfish, you know, like I know it's not rational because I didn't get to choose my birthday and I didn't choose to not be with them, but it just sucked to hear that. And I told them, well, now we can all celebrate it together. But yeah, they really had to sacrifice a lot of stuff to find me. And I really was grateful, you know. So we ate a meal and I took pictures of the baby pictures because, again, I was super excited to see that. So, and then they tried to offer me a ride after, but I was like, nah, it's cool. Don't worry about it. So I made sure they left. And then I walked to my mom and I told my mom, you know, how it went. And she told me, well, it's up to you if you want to continue it or that's it. You know, you close that book and you, but yeah, it was really hard. Yeah, we had to really, it took like 3 tries for us to really come together as a family, to be honest. The first time we were constantly fighting, a lot of, I want to say misunderstanding, since they couldn't understand how I love strangers more than them. And I couldn't understand how they, what's the word? I was really grateful for them, but I just didn't understand them. Like they didn't understand me. We were like strangers, you know, in my book, but I really did try the first time. But it was just very stressful. Like I started, like I had to stop drinking, and with them, the first time in my life, I drank again and then heavier. Yeah, it was very stressful because it was just constantly like throwing back and forth, you know. So I don't know if normal people do this, but I was like, y'all, I need a break from you guys. I know we've been apart for 15 years.
Yeah, normal people do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad.
This happens all the time in families.
Well,
That's the way families work.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, because that's what I did. Like it was just like 3 months, but I couldn't, it was just too stressful for me. They had this weird notion that since they were undocumented and I was from here, I was like rich or something. I was like, I'm not rich. I work 2-3 minimum jobs. It's hard, you know, but you do what you got to do. And it was just very a weird relationship because they wanted me to provide, and I was like, y'all never provided for me, right? So it was just this back and forth, this just
whoa.
Yeah, it was bad.
They wanted you to take care of them?
Yep. So that's why the first time it didn't really work out, because I was like, I'm independent. I can't provide for you guys. You guys weren't there when I needed you guys, you know. So that's where a lot of the anger would come from on their part. I think, again, it was just misconnotation. But yeah. Mm, um, that's a good question. I think um I don't know, like honestly, I like being an open book because I think that's how people learn. Um, but I mean I do have a few secrets, but that they I don't know, I don't feel like they're worth sharing. It's a lot of survival stuff I had to do, and I know that some people might understand, but I know overall people are judgmental.
So you're open about your experience in foster care and the difficulties you had growing up?
Yeah, I am. When I know it's a good cause, not just everyone, right? Because again, I know there's bad people out there, and I have been hurt before. But yeah, so it's just I think I would have to say that if it wasn't for my family being undocumented, I probably wouldn't have understood and respected the undocumented population. Yeah, because before then I was closed minded. But through them, I was able to learn that they have to go through different hoops and challenges than most people. So I guess that's one thing most people don't know about me, because most people think I'm a hippie and open minded and all things, but no, I'm still growing like everyone else. But yeah, um, because of my biofam, I was able to become an ally for undocumented people. As before, I'm not gonna say I was like bad or mean towards them. It was just a lack of understanding of their challenges.
You're really an astounding woman. I knew at the moment I first heard you speak, and I'm really glad that you agreed to speak with us today. When I say us, I mean I keep on saying us like there's other people. It's just me, and hopefully other people listening. But I really want to thank you, JC. And I wish you all the best. I admire the shit out of you. You're such a warm, gracious, and generous, open-minded, forgiving person. I don't think I could ever. I don't. I kind of aspire to be you.
I think everyone's on a different life path, and I think mine was just to be a healer. So I appreciate the kind words, and I mean we all have something to learn from each other, and I hope to keep growing every day. So appreciate the time, and I hope that your goals. I know they're gonna do great changes because they're great intentions.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. If you see something, say something. If you suspect that a child's health or safety is jeopardized in any way by parents or anyone else, contact the Child Protective Services Agency in your county. 24-hour hotlines are staffed by trained social workers who will help you through the process, and you can do so anonymously. In California, you can call the Child Protection Hotline at 800-540-4000. And right now in COVID, reports of abuse and neglect are down by 50%. And that's not because it's not happening. It's because kids are not in school, and their teachers and other adults, mandated reporters, aren't seeing them. So if you see something, say something. You might be saving a child's life. If you're a kid in care and you want to know more about your sexual and reproductive health, you can go to fosterrepprohealth.org. That's fosterrepprohealth.org. And if you're an older kid in trouble, check out pennylane.org. They offer a safe place for homeless and LGBTQ youth who need some help. And if you're a kid in care who wants a casa, you can ask for one. In Los Angeles, go to casala.org, and anywhere else in the nation, go to nationalcasagal.org, and you can get one. I want to thank the supremely talented Christina Apostolopoulos for her beautiful music, Eferisto. To hear more from music, go to Spotify and Instagram at Christina Aposto. That's ChristiNAAPOSTO. I know you want to. Her stuff is really great. And thanks to my audio producer extraordinaire, Marcos Campito. I'm glad I found you. Thanks for listening, and if you like what you hear, please rate us and hit subscribe.